and just look at the place from here again, from this aerial view, you get an idea. It is just on the sort of back of the mountain. Kind of a massive building to be built on the, on the back of the mountain. And I would imagine that there's a lot of thinking going on. And when you think, you always would be happy to be able to stare into the distance. Hey everyone, and welcome back to a new video. In this video, I will accompany a real world event by looking at, perhaps scrutinizing, the very place where it happens. Something I've been doing in a couple of videos, or if you haven't seen any of the other ones, I will have been doing in a couple of videos. Today, we're looking at the Summit on Peace in Ukraine. This Summit on Peace in Ukraine will take place in Switzerland on neutral grounds, if you like, where Switzerland will act as a sort of negotiator, a middleman, a host country. Perhaps a few information about this summit. As far as I understood, this is the fourth summit. There were other meetings about peace in Ukraine happening, and this latest one will take place immediately after the G7 summit in Italy. I have also made a video about that, so maybe you want to check it out. A few more information about this. 70 states and organizations have already confirmed their participation in this summit, of uttermost, I shall say, importance. The US, China, France, Britain, Germany, countries that have been supporting Ukraine financially and with armory, weapons, and that could really make the difference, maybe in the debate, in the decision of a future course against the Russian aggressor. It will take place in the Bergenstock Resort, which is a super luxury hotel near Lucerne, the Swiss city of Lucerne. This will also be the place I'm gonna look at. And what will be discussed there are key principles of international law, peace proposals based on the UN Charter, and the Ukraine peace formula, which, if I remember correctly, was a 10-point peace plan, such as all the deported children have to return to Ukraine, no nuclear threat or attack should take place, land, territories, cities need to be given back, and perhaps also Russia has to pay for the repair. Yes, exactly. There's also a Q&A here on the official website of the Swiss Confederation, the country of Switzerland. Why is it being held in Switzerland? Switzerland agreed to host the summit and regularly host negotiations or acts as a mediator for talks and meetings. What does Switzerland hope to achieve? Making a contribution to a lasting peace in Ukraine, greater security and stability in Europe. Has Russia received an invitation? Has not. Switzerland is convinced, however, that Russia must be involved in this process. A peace without Russia is unthinkable. What does it cost? Depends. A large part of the cost will be spent on security. In terms of security, I have read something as well. I don't know if it was on this website. What will be discussed? Will President Zelensky come to Switzerland? Well, the definite list of participants will not be very finalized or published up until shortly before of the meeting. I believe then there was a remark on security in the Wikipedia article. I will put all of this in the description so you can look at this in detail if you're interested in the sort of bureaucratic, organizational, diplomatic aspects behind it. This is the official website of the resort. It will also be in the description. And we can see that this resort has a long history. We can go all the way back to the year 1871, when this man, which is either Franz Josef Bucher Dürer or Joseph Dürer, has started hospitality in Switzerland by purchasing a property and offering it to guests, the hotel. This is the Grand Hotel that was opened. Also, this is the building from the thumbnail. Extension of the Grand Hotel. Looks very Swiss. To me, very neat, very tidy. Is this sort of, I don't know how to say it, classic poshness, you know? It's not steel and glass kind of slick, smooth poshness, but this little bit more woody, sort of domestic, local style sort of poshness. Has changed a little bit nowadays, as you will see in a second. Yeah, some hydroelectric power plant giving energy to the building. Its own railway because it is right by a cliff. We will see that also in a second. The completion of the chapel, opening of the Palace Hotel. Well, it is an area with different buildings that are all owned by the Bürgenstock Resort Group, let's say. Perhaps these places are in different degrees of refurbishments. As I said, these are old buildings, and they all have their unique character. Some hiking path, another picture. I don't have to look at all of this in detail, but you know, bars, beaches, restaurants, parks, forests. This in 2007, the plan was made to change the ownership again, take over from current owners Katara Hospitality with plans for a 5-star luxury resort destination, which is this now, apparently, as it stands from 2017. One thing we should quickly have a look at is the type of rooms. Where will the presidents, prime ministers, chancellors sleep? This is a vibe, very, not necessarily minimalist in color and materials, but minimalist in the overall design. It seems cubic, not to say clear or simple, but very slick surfaces. Of course, loads of wood being used, working with the view. Lake view, family suite, lake view. So the whole hotel resort, which is one of 4 different buildings, the Bürgenstock Resort, will be used for this conference. People that have already booked a room at that time have been kindly asked to reschedule their booking. Unfortunate for them, but I guess not to say that there's a more important meeting, but maybe there's a more important meeting. Right, and I think without further ado, let's get onto the map. Now I'm using Google Earth. Usually I don't really do that because it's pretty laggy. Google Maps is much faster for me. But I thought because the landscape is so nice that we definitely should look at it from 3D perspective. So Switzerland, here's Germany, France, Switzerland, Italy is here, Switzerland is here. And, you know, most Swiss cities are next to a big lake. This is Zurich, I believe. And we have Genf here, next to the Genf Lake. Thun, Interlaken, Basel as well, which has a river, the Rhine, and Luzern finally here. And here are these residencies. Now there are a couple of kilometers out of Luzern, and there's really only one path to go to the hotel, except with a helicopter, which is maybe safer. You can understand the safety concerns of such a meeting when you combine the power in the world, or at least half of it, the people that hold this power into one building. But as you can see, there's an airport nearby, so that may be quite practical. The hotel itself, I've marked the 4 different parts of it that belong to it, are called Bürgenstock Resort because this mountain here is called Bürgenstock, and on the way up to this mountain from Luzern city, the 4 different parts of the resort are. Now the meeting and the main, let's say, summit will take place in these buildings here, which are also the biggest. They are called just Bürgenstock Resort. Then there are also Bürgenstock residencies. Some more, I guess you could say, residentially looking, maybe Airbnb-esque type buildings. There's this tavern, 1879, and there's also the so-called Forest Hotel. Should show you from the other side. The Forest Hotel here. This, I suppose, is the forest. So it's pretty neat location, to say the least. And I would say let's get onto the map and see what we find. And my idea was to start from here, not necessarily from down here where the village starts, because, the paths are going to be windy and my chances of getting lost are quite high. But maybe start from here and approach the hotel. Which, by the way, is not... There's no cars on the hotel grounds. Right. So luckily, I know the way, because we have to go up, because it's up the mountain. Otherwise, I would have really missed my little map that I get here in Google Maps usually. Perhaps you can also somehow use it in Google Earth, but I will just stay with what I have now. Of course, splendid scenery, exactly what you would imagine from such a place. Here are the final works for the Grand Summit just about to be done, the last toilets being installed. So it should be all ready and set to go. Now, from a security point of view and for the Swiss armed forces, I would think that this is a relatively easy area to control, even though the geographics of it make it a bit difficult. Different mountains, forests, different levels of elevation. But otherwise, with only one road on the top of the mountain, because there are not so many places where you can really get, close to it. Now these are the residencies. You can see they look, I would say like modern day residential houses. And here towards our left is the main hotel from the backside, which looks pretty unremarkable. I would maybe use this word. Of course, neat and clean, but pretty unremarkable. The strength of it and the niceness of it comes on the other side with the cliff and the great view over the Luzern Lake. Is it called like this? Perhaps here on top of us there are some sort of terraces as well. I'm not too sure how far this street view goes, or why we are turning around all the time. Yeah, and here we have reached the end. From below here, we have something. The hotel up here, very elevated, very high. Great view. Big mountains around. Big mountains. Here you see some stairs down. It's a very pristine, serene place. I think as a location, it is great. The G7 summit, which takes place near Fasano, more or less in the south of Italy and Puglia. Similar location, much more flat, but similarly isolated sort of hotel resort, which I guess is the favorite choice for such, important meetings. You can just look at the place from here again, from this aerial view. Now you get an idea. It is just on the sort of back of the mountain. Kind of a massive building to be built on the back of the mountain. And I would imagine that there's a lot of thinking going on. And when you think, you always would be happy to be able to stare into the distance, feel like you're being on top of the world, safe and sound. And of course, also meetings of such magnitude, of such global relevance, need a place that fits the purpose. Your local kiosk or just a restaurant in any given city center are not suited for the occasion, definitely not secure or safe enough. So I think this fits the purpose very well. What else? You can look at the second biggest Wald hotel. Looks as you would imagine, loads of wood, very nice. Clean, fresh air, blue skies. Absolutely beautiful. Now this tavern, the smaller one, also there we have a few points. Tavern is basically a restaurant, but maybe you can also rent it like as a sort of hotel room. So there's a bigger building next to it, which we can't really see. Here we have more images. Now you get an idea of the view. We'll be up here with these terraces out here. I'm pointing it down because I didn't want to show these people too much. But with these terraces out here overviewing the landscape, with Lucerne as a city here, nested at this arm of the lake. So being a little bit away from the, I guess, day-to-day struggle of business, in Zelensky's case, of course, in this sort of day-to-day survival, where the nation is dependent on the decision-making of a few people and, of course, willing to fight and all of these things. But here, a little bit taken away from it, I think it is a great place to hopefully discuss and successfully discuss options with or without Russia, with or without the US. Because I've just read that maybe the Biden is not coming. I'm not too sure. If this is true, and I don't want to spread it, but a good plan can be made with or without them. It's just then, is it going to be able to be executed somehow? Will there be enough support from militaries around the world? Because I think this is very much needed. And I'm very sure that the Ukraine doesn't want peace at any cost. They want peace. They also want to remain Ukraine. They want to have their land. Makes sense, common sense. No one should just be able to invade a country just so and try to justify it with some historical reasoning. By that logic, loads of countries could invade loads of other countries because at some point in time they were all one. And I think, in history you have to make a cut at some point and freeze the situation, stop any imperialistic genocide, really. Very terrible. But anyway, few more impressions. Here, one impression in the snow. Switzerland really is this kind of country that gets very cold and very warm, right? This sort of difference, I think there's a meteorological name for it. It's very big. But anyway, I think you have gotten an impression of where this will take place. The pools and the views and the different rooms that will be available to the people. I don't think they're going to be laying at the pool, but you know, if they wanted to, they have it. They have a spa, have a political discussion over a massage. You know how it goes. And I thank you very much for watching. All necessary links will be in the description. Let me know what you think as a choice of place. And I see you for the next video. Bye bye.